Good evening, everyone, and Happy New Year to both our visitors as well as anyone that's online. Wishing you all a Happy New Year. Calling this meeting to order of the Bamberg School District 1 Board of Trustees meeting. You have the agenda for tonight's meeting in front of you. We are down to item number 2. What is the pleasure of the board with regards to approval of the agenda?
Madam Chairman, if there is no changes, we accept the approval of the agenda as written.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion on the floor and a second that we approve the agenda as it's been presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signal by saying aye. Aye. Is there any opposition? All right, hearing none, the ayes have it. We are down to item number 3, which is approval of the minutes from December 14th, 2020. You have those minutes in front of you. You had the opportunity to receive them and review them prior to tonight's meeting. What is the pleasure of the board with regards to approval of the minutes from December 14th, 2020 meeting?
Madam Chairman, I move that the minutes be approved as presented.
We have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, motion on the floor and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, if you are in favor of approving the minutes as they've been presented, please signal by saying aye. Aye. Is there any opposition? Hearing none, the ayes have it. We are down to item number 4, which is school reports. And I will turn that over to Mrs. Brown.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay. With your permission, I'll just pull this down while I can talk and breathe. We would like to say good evening to everyone that's listening and to all of you present. And you have in your board packets individual school reports from all 3 principals, Richard Carroll Elementary and Bamberg Middle School. As you can see there, the current enrollment for each school, the number of face-to-face learners versus virtual learners, and the COVID cases, which is the same information that you can find in our COVID-19 dashboard on our website. We update that just as a reminder every Friday. Bamberg Airport High School school report for Mr. Ulmer, same information there. Total enrolled, the number of virtual versus face-to-face. I would like to highlight that we had 10 winner graduates, and I'd like to say congratulations to those students, those seniors that were successful in finishing this school year early. They will have the options to still participate in our spring graduation ceremonies, but congratulations and a shout out to those students who worked so hard to achieve that. And all 3 principals, Mrs. Walter, Mrs. Miller, and Mr. Ulmer, said, if you have any questions, please feel free to email them, ask them, or ask me.
Okay, excuse me, I did have one question with regard to Bamberg Earhart High School. The last bullet that says after school will start back at VHS on February 16th. After school.
That's your after-school assistance, students that come for after-school English language arts, science, and math, extra help.
Okay.
Madam Chairman, I have a quick question. I see our enrollment in the high school dropped down from 382 to 358. 10 of those, I guess, were the winter graduates. What do we owe the rest of the attrition to?
Some pulled out, went to other districts. I've seen a large number of students moving to other districts, and we've had several that's moved to other states. So, yeah, our enrollment is continuing to decline. However, I did have Ms. Tucker pull our district enrollment. We're holding steady within 5 students across the district. So we've had, at the elementary school, we've had a number of students come in, particularly in grade 5K. Seems to be the most popular grade level going now. So our enrollment's holding steady, differing each month by about 5 or 10 students.
Okay, well, before we move on, board, can we, if you don't mind, give those 10 winter graduates a hand. Thank you, that's a great accomplishment. Okay.
All right, and step now to the superintendent's role now into the special education director's role. I thought that usually I give you all report to the board once or twice annually on special education updates. So you have in front of you, I laid this on your table because I wanted to give you most current numbers as of last Friday. So this didn't go out previously in the board packet. It's special education department updates. I'm showing you our total enrollment, which here, Mr. Hires, was where I was going to show you that total enrollment as we, on our December 1 count, our child count day, was October, was 1194. Out of 1,194 students across the district, we currently have 156 children we're serving in special education. I've broken down by category and given you the acronyms that you often hear people throw out there. LD, of course, that means learning disabilities. So I've broken each one of those down into the categories that we serve. Also, we have 2 students currently being served at our private school located here in our district, Andrew Jackson. I would like to attach to this, over the last 2 weeks, both Devon and myself and Ms. Tucker have been getting feedback on our special education reports and status, and I would like to, these are very important indicators. They have financial repercussions if you don't meet these indicators, as well as several other things the district would have to do. So these are crucial, but I would like to say to those listening tonight that I know are listening, for indicator 11, our 60-day timeline, Bamberg District 1 scored 100%. For IEPs in place by 3rd birthday, indicator 12, Bamberg District 1 scored 100%. Transition planning and services compliance. Thus far this year, this district has been monitored and audited so far three different audits since August. Transition planning and services is one that they do every 3 years. For the first time, Bamberg School District 1 scored 100%. Post-secondary student surveys, that's where we reach out to our students 1 year after exiting to see what are you doing now. Are you going to a post-secondary school, or are you sitting home, or are you employed? They grade the district on those on 2 things. One, did you get all of your surveys back, and what are your kids doing? But as far as all of our surveys, Bamberg District 1 scored 100%. South Carolina High School credential policies. This was the first time since this law was enacted 3 years ago that we were audited. We do have to have on file a whole different set of policies and procedures for this new South Carolina High School credential that's available to students with disabilities when they are not able to achieve a regular high school diploma. We just got feedback back on that Thursday. Bamberg District 1 scored 100%. And then, of course, Neil's here tonight, our fiscal IDEA audit findings are back. Just a little small piece of that was he did IDEA, and I'll let him talk more about that, but looks like we're doing pretty good. So, and then I get attached a copy of all of the memos. I would like to say a special thank you to all of our special education staff. This really takes a village, from the principals to the assistant principals, occupational therapists, physical therapists, speech therapists, special education teachers. Our child find team that involves our first steps people, our baby net people that don't even work in this district to achieve these types of findings on these indicators. So to give y'all an update of where your special education department is at the moment.
This is nothing short of amazing. This is wonderful.
We have an amazing special education department. They work hard. And I will also say, not just our special education department, but we work collaboratively with our general education teachers. And if it weren't for them, we would not be able to achieve this either. And then, of course, Ms. Tucker, who is constantly behind that computer looking at our data, looking at our IEPs, reminding us of due dates. One of the crucial things in all of that is not missing a due date, never being late on the report. We're good there, but their select staff and our general education staff working with us are what makes this possible. And our parents. Those IEPs in place by 3rd birthday and those 60-day timelines, that would not be possible without the cooperation and relationships we have with our parents.
That is wonderful. Very good news, very good news. All right, we are down to item number 5, which is athletic update.
Okay, our athletic director and coach, Robert Williams, provided me with a handout, kind of catching you up on where we are with our athletics. Middle school boys and middle school girls season was cut short due to COVID issues across the state, not within the district, but across the state and in our region. But middle school boys finished the season, basketball 6-0, and middle school girls basketball 3-0. So, congratulations to those teams, coaches, players, parents, great job. Junior varsity boys are 6-0 this season. You need to update that because this went out in your packet. They play again Friday night, so now they're 7-0. Varsity teams are both undefeated in the region. Again, these need to be updated because these went out to you guys before the game on Friday night. Varsity girls are currently 4-0, and varsity boys also are 5-0. So, well done. And wrestling on the season today is 7-2, so they're also doing a great job. Just congratulations to all of our student athletes and coaches for the jobs that they're doing, and for the parents that support us in those efforts.
Okay, we are now down to item number 6 on the agenda, which is student staff recognition and superintendent's report.
Okay, so item 6A, as you may recall, back in December, we began a discussion about reducing out-of-district tuition rates. That was, board decided at that time to postpone that to beginning of the year. So we put that item back on the agenda tonight to see if you wanted to move further with that, postpone it again, or take a vote.
Okay. Board members, you've had an opportunity to not only receive this information in your packet, but recall that this was something that had been on a previous agenda with information with regards to various different options. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Fourth option 1 is what we're currently doing. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. Start with you.
I was wondering if we could, I like option 3, but could we go with the first child as our regular fee of $2,505, and then the subsequent, fees would be reduced to $1,500, $1,000, and then for. So option 3, except for changing that first child back to where we currently have it at $2,505. That's just my recommendation.
Okay. Next.
I think option 3 with the change.
Option 3 with the change. Mrs. Echols, what do you thought?
And, Dottie, you, were saying that option 3 was the option that you liked best, right?
Yeah, yes, that was the one that you and I discussed when this was first proposed. And certainly the first child were just options, Devon and I put some numbers in there for you guys to consider. I think it is a good idea what Mr. Hires is saying, so leave that at first child is what we have it set at now, so that's not touching that. And then, but yes, that was the option.
And can you just, once again, just explain again that, the kids that are coming in, that's gonna help us because we still get a fee from the state for that child being in the school district, correct?
That is correct. We get EFA money for every child that's in an enrollment. And Mr. Hars brought up the fact about our enrollment declining. Well, accepting children from out of district is a way to offset that a little bit because when we lose our enrollment, we lose per pupil funding, base cost funding. But this is a way for us to retain that. So by those children being here, yes, we get the same amount of money for a out-of-district paying student as we would for this child that lives here.
I'm also in agreement with option with Mr. Hires' recommendation.
Mr. Duncan?
And And it's checked around with all other districts. I assume these numbers all float around the same from all other districts.
Slightly higher than maybe one or two of your smaller Christian academies,
Right.
but a little less than some of your larger private schools, and a lot less than some of your really big private schools. So, right there in the middle.
I'll go with option 3 as is.
Option 3 as is, or with the adjustment?
No, as is.
As is, okay, okay. All right, well, we have, and my opinion on this is I don't have any objection to either way, so if someone wants to make a motion.
I would move that we accept option 3, but change that first child to the 2505 that we currently have it, and then the 1,500 for the second, 1,000 for the third, and then free for the additional children.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion on the floor and a second. Is there any further discussion?
I would like to insert a note here. This was discussed for beginning next school year, so I just want to put that out there, that it
Sure.
will not begin immediately. We will need the time to finish the draft policies and procedures I gave to you guys back in December. We'll put the finishing touches on those and have those in place for next school year.
Okay, so the next school year, you're talking about beginning in August.
2021, 2022.
Got you. Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. Those in favor of option number 3 with the adjustment being at 2505 for the first child, second child 1,500, third child 1,000, additional children after that 3. If you're in favor of that, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposition?
Nay.
Okay, we have 4 ayes and 1 nay. The ayes have it, so we will go with option number 3 with the adjustment as recommended by Mr. Howard.
Okay, and that brings us to item 6B. You have in your packets, we received the South Carolina School Board Member Ethics Principles, a list. Historically, Ms. Schwarting would show you guys this big poster, and she would come up and present that poster, and I think you guys did a round robin and reading each of those ethics principles. However, in the age of COVID, we did bring the poster as a visual display, but we decided to print you off a copy of those. So I will leave it to Ms. Walker as to if she would like for you guys to read those aloud.
Yes, if we can do that, and if I can start it off, if Mr. Hires, you could start off reading the first paragraph up top and then start with the represent, and we'll go one at a time until we completed it.
Okay. As a member of my district school board, I pledge my efforts to improve public education in my community and will solemnly try to represent the interests of the entire district when making decisions and to rely on available facts and on our judgment rather than on individuals and special interest groups.
To understand the proper role of the board to set policies governing the district and to hire the chief administrative officer to carry out these policies.
To encourage an open exchange of ideas by all board members during the decision-making process.
To seek regular communications between the board and students, staff, and all segments of the community.
To attend our board meetings, to study issues facing the board, and to enact policies and official actions only after full discussion at such meetings.
To work with other board members in a conscientious and courteous manner befitting the public trust placed in the position of the school board trustee.
To communicate concerns and public reaction to board policies and school programs to the superintendent and other board members in a professional manner.
To support employment of the persons best qualified for staff positions and to ensure regular and impartial evaluation of all staff.
To avoid conflicts of interest and to refrain from using my board position for personal or partisan gain.
To encourage recognition of the achievements of students and staff and of the involvement of community residents.
To support legislation and funding which will improve the educational opportunities and environment for students and staff.
To take no individual action which would compromise the integrity of the board or administration, and to respect the confidentiality of information that is privileged under the Freedom of Information Act.
To study current educational issues and to participate in training programs such as those offered through the South Carolina School Boards Association and the National School Boards Association.
And make our district's educational setting the best possible to encourage all students to achieve and to love learning.
Thank you all very much. Ended that on a profound note. And in recognition and along the lines of School Board Recognition Month, I would like to remind all of you to pay attention. Each school has a personal message for you guys up on their signs outside their schools and their social media pages, so you might want to check that out. Also, I would like to bring your attention to the cards laid on your desk. There were individual classes at Richard Galt Elementary School that took the time to write each of you a personal thank you note for your service and dedication to our school board and to our district and our community. Also, the books that are laid in front of you, donor donated those books to Richard Galt Elementary School to keep. But inside of those books is a personal placket to each one of you, again, in recognition of your service to our school board in honor of you. So thank you all for the service that you do give our district, our staff, our students, and our community.
Very welcome. Thank you. Very thoughtful.
Okay, you have in your packets a statement, which is item 6C. It is the Ethics Commission. It is provided each year, so that's just for your information and your reading pleasure. Some important information there. Also, item 6D on the agenda now is the Bowen Center Wellness Impact Report. I put a copy, this comes to me, Superintendent, in a nice little colored catalog, but instead of printing the whole catalog for you guys, I took a picture of the cover page copy, and then the insert that's inside that catalog. I would like to say that Bamberg County School District, Bamberg School District 1, was featured in Bowen's annual report this year. The page that's in your packet is a copy of the feature story. Miss Laura Buss, who does our raised gardens with our students and does lessons with them about habitat, environment, farming, farm-to-table exercises, and our ag classes that use that. All of our schools are involved in this. But Bowen did a beautiful report on that and highlighting the schools in the district for their participation in that program. It's part of their Healthy Kids Initiative program. So we'd like to thank Ms. Laura Buss for all that she does with our students in our school. They do a phenomenal job.
Okay, we are now down to item number 7, which is the 2020 Bamberg School District 1 audit. I will turn that over to Mr. Neil Carter.
All right, thank you. Y'all hear me okay? All right. Well, a lot's changed since this time last year, huh?
Oh,
Yes.
It's been a very challenging, difficult year for so many reasons, but I'm glad to hear all the positive things happening here. It's a good thing, and this report's just going to continue with positive things. I'll start off. Our responsibility as your auditor is to express opinions on these financial statements based on our audit. We conducted our audit in accordance with auditing standards generally accepted in the United States of America. And those standards require that we plan and perform the audit to obtain reasonable assurance about whether the financial statements are free from material mistakes. And we believe that the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our audit opinions. So in our opinion, the financial statements are presented fairly in all material respects. Therefore, we issue an unmodified opinion or clean opinion on financial statements. We did not report any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies related to internal control and financial reporting. We identified and tested the child nutrition cluster, which is food service, and the IDEA program. We tested those as major programs this year. And we issue a clean opinion on compliance for these major programs. So we did not report any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies related to internal control over those major programs. And we also did not note any major compliance findings on those major programs tested. Now, several years ago, the State Department of Education began requiring districts to maintain an unassigned fund balance equal to 30 days of operations. Well, the district fell short of this mark in fiscal year 17, but recovered during 18 and 19. Well, unfortunately, the district has fallen short of that mark in FY 20. So this has resulted in a compliance finding which will affect your risk for the SCD provides. So with that said, the general fund finished with a decrease in fund balance of $254,812. So that's bringing it down to a total of $981,358. So this is essentially 26 days of operations as opposed to the 30-day requirement set forth by the State Department of Education. And this figure included the transfer of $51,869 in food service fund profits to repay the loan to the general fund. And it appears that a substantial portion of that decrease was attributed to payroll rate increases. And some of those you just can't get around. You know, those are required by the state. Some highlights on your debt. The IRS subsidized $1,160,386 in interest on the school bonds this year. And the district paid $508,853 out of pocket interest on all its bonds. And the balance in your sinking principal fund was $9,439,131 at June 30. And what that is that fund was set aside to pay the balloon payment that we do in 2027. And in that account, that funds in that account generated $283,434 in investment earnings. Well, shortly after year end, in July, the $9 million 2010 Build America bonds were refunded, which was essentially a refinance to take advantage of your low interest rates. So that was a smart move, and it's estimated that transaction will save the district a lot of money, probably $2 million over the life of the loan. And as you know, y'all were part of that process, you know, it's not going to extend out the debt payment schedule. It's pretty much the principal is going to start at the same time and end at the same time. You're just paying a lot less than interest. And yes, there's still a great deal of uncertainty with COVID and how it's going to affect the district and its operations, but we've certainly learned how to adapt to everything going on. And the state, through the CARES Act, has got some money there to offset some of the impact of COVID. So right now, unless there's been additional funds allocated, you've been allocated so far $452,000 roughly to assist. So with all that said, overall, from an audit standpoint, the district had another solid year. We had a lot of clean opinions, and it's just unfortunate that money, and just a little bit of spending this year that just caused it to drop below that level that the State Department would like you to be at. Other than that, you've got a good report from us. So, hopefully you've had some time to look through it. I mean, do you have any questions for me on the finances?
I have a question. These pupil activity funds, these negative balances, these have accumulated over the years. This isn't just this 1 year, obviously.
Yes, sir. That's been ongoing for quite some time. Yeah. These have, some have grown, some have gone away. It's just, this cumulative list has just been there for quite some time. So at some point, the management just has to address what they want to do. I reported here, and this here is just kind of a low level. These here findings don't reach the level to be in the public report. But these I do want to communicate with you, so that's why you have this letter. That any method taken by superintendent or the board to address these accounts, whether it just be a straight transfer or restructuring how the people activity funds are accounted for. And then further down, you'll see the CDL compliance. That was new. There's just a particular requirement from the State Department on reviewing driver records every year. And there was just a slight mishap there where it didn't appear that was being done for a short period, but that's been rectified from what I understand. Anytime I make recommendations here, those things are pretty much handled. So, no issues there. But yeah, it wouldn't hurt to work with getting those negative balances straightened out, especially before consolidation comes around. So just keep in mind, if you transfer from general fund, you're looking at decreasing that balance even further.
Okay. What did you say that the shortfall would affect? What did that impact the state?
The State Department of Education, they provide a risk score to each district, and it's a number of factors, the number of findings you have, if you file your audit report on time. There's just a whole list of factors that they have, and by not meeting the fund balance requirement, they can put you on fiscal caution or fiscal watch, depending on what else is happening with the district. But they'll issue a score each year, kind of telling you where you're at.
Yeah, that's
Do you
true.
know about what time that comes in?
I usually get it in March at SCASBO.
Okay. So probably in March, you'll have a score reflecting this past year and reflecting that issue.
So in other words, in reference to what she's saying is that we have a good solid year according to your firm, but to the state we don't match up with numbers.
Yes, yes. They're wanting that 30 days of operations, which is simply your budget divided by 12.
Right. And you should have these negative, hopefully balance out before consolidation, as you stated.
That's right. That would be ideal.
You said we were at 26 days.
26 days.
We're not far off.
Didn't miss it by much. Didn't miss it by much. I think that equated to around 80 to 90,000. What it was.
Devon, is there any additional money that we expect from the state related to COVID or any other?
There is some Srt Funds coming out. We had a webinar last week, and we're having another one at the beginning of February. And we're slated to get $2 million in that round, which would help a lot because Right now, we have aides on every bus due to the COVID and having to sit the children apart. So we have an aide on every bus. We were using aides to do the food delivery. So, you know, that would help a gracious amount if we could move some of the salaries over to the ESSER money, which is what I hope to do.
And Yvonne, when was that slated for?
I'll know February, have another conference on February, or another webinar on in the first part of February.
Okay.
Right now, our allocation sits at like 2 million, but, you know, we haven't got that confirmed. They did send out the allocations, and right now it says we'll get a little over 2 million.
Okay.
We just have to, you know, these are the ESSER 2 funds, and we have the ESSER 1 funds. We just have to adjust our application, not do a new application, just to tell the state how we're going to spend that money.
Okay.
So we'll work on it as soon as we have the webinar at the beginning of February.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone have any other questions? No? Thank you.
Thank you.
As always, if something comes up, if you do have a question, feel free to contact me anytime. I'll be glad to answer anything you have.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right, you're done with me, I'm head on out.
All right.
Y'all stay safe.
You too. Thank you. Stay safe as well. All right. We're moving down to item number 8, consolidation plan update. I'll turn that over to Ms. Brown.
Okay, so we have submitted our plan to the State Department. It is in Molly Spearman's office as we speak. We have been getting feedback on it regularly from individuals in her office, but we have not got the final yay or nay on the plan. So we're still waiting on that. Hopefully by the end of February or by our board meeting, when we decide to have it, whatever date we decide to have it on in February, we'll have heard back by then. We'll be able to have full discussion on that at that time.
Thank you. Down to item number 9, monthly financial report. Mr. Vaughn.
Can y'all hear me if I don't take the mask off? I think I sound muffled back here. You have your financial report and you have your audit report. We do look for some more allocations for ESSER, which will be great. And like Neil said, with COVID, things have changed, and we ran into issues we didn't expect, and our enrollment is dropping, and that's another factor we're gonna have to deal with. When we start the budget, we've already had some conversations that when we start the budget process, we're really gonna have to look at numbers as far as grade level numbers. Really strictly look at that and see if we are overstaffed in anywhere. And we're gonna have to use these ESSER funds because they can be used for employee positions as well.
What
So,
funds was that?
The ESSER 2 funds that we're gonna get in February. But if you have any questions about your financial report, I'll be glad to answer them. Because everything's in there.
Okay. You've all had an opportunity to receive and review the financial report. And at this time, if there are no questions, I will entertain a motion.
Madam Chairman, I move that we accept the financial report as presented.
All right, we have a motion on the floor that we accept the financial report as it's presented. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion on the floor and a second. Is there any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. If you're in favor of approving this as it's been presented, please signal by saying aye. Aye. Is there any opposition? Hearing none, the ayes have it. And we are down to item number 10, which is visitors' comments, and I believe we have Mr. Ken Allen.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sir.
How you doing, Ken? How are you? I just got a couple general ones, nothing outlandish. I had mentioned it before the previous meeting, I think it was directed at Ricky, to see if we could get an email push, and it ties into my next kind of question as far as notifications of the meetings. I think December's meeting changed. I don't get the T&D, sometimes I get it, sometimes I don't. You get the leader, but if you were able to have an opt-in to a, you know, whether it be a web service or just say, hey, I'd like to know, and it goes out electronically, you wouldn't have to go to the papers anymore and pay an ad fee to say, hey, we're having our meetings, or in conjunction maybe with that, of course, but, you know, if you were to have a meeting or a meeting change, boom, shows up in my inbox. I think that's why I missed the December meeting, because it was changed, but just something more so for the people that might want to attend. And kind of in conjunction with that, is it possible to publish some of the content that is going to be discussed? And I don't mean, you've got your agenda, but like last time for December, you had the policy GBAAA, sexual discrimination. These are policies that you're about to enact. It would be nice from a transparency side, from a citizen, what is it you're going to be talking about and voting on? Like, I can read one of those policies like, holy smokes, or this is what's coming, and maybe be prepared to leave comments, you know, not have a big discussion of it, so you only have a couple minutes. But be able to be, you know, fully armed with information for when you show up. That's it, like, hey, when you post the agenda, here's the document that we're going to talk about. I know you guys get packets, but we get nothing. So it's kind of hard to stay up to speed on what you folks are looking at. And the last question I got is not related to that, but as far as courses here, do we offer like a home ec Life 101 course?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
If I can.
Go right ahead. Yeah, jump in.
Yeah, we have what is now called financial fitness. It's not called that anymore. That term went away several years ago.
Right.
But it is called financial fitness, which encompasses that. We also have human growth and development, which encompasses some of that, and also accounting, and also our health classes. All of those courses combined cover some of the content, most, if not all of the content that used to be in the older home economics classes,
Right.
But our financial fitness
I
classes
mean, like
primarily
balance in a
replace that.
checkbook,
It's
you
the
either know
same
how to
thing.
write a note or do a written thank you note, or an interview, you shake hands
Yes.
and, you know, those kinds of things.
Yes, soft skills.
Okay.
We even
Yes.
teach those in our ROTC classes as well.
Very good, that's what I was asking. Thank you, that's it.
All right, thank you very much. And we will look into, well, one, Ricky, do you have any comments on it? No, I know that Mr. Allen has spoken.
I think it was the November meeting you brought that up,
I
or
think it was
October.
'cause I
October.
couldn't- Yeah.
Yeah, and I sent an email out, our web hosting company, School Insights, who hosts our website. I sent them an email about that, about pushing notifications out.
Sure.
I've not received back pricing on that because it's an additional cost because of service or whatever, but we will do that. We've also discussed with the live stream right now, I want to be able to put our documents up there so the live stream view can show those documents and the agenda as we go forward. So we are working on that as well. So those are good, both good topics and points.
Very good,
Yep.
thank you.
Great. Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Allen. We are down to item number 11, which is executive session for discussion of personnel updates and personnel recommendations for resignation. What's the pleasure of the board with regards to executive session?
Madam Chairman, before we go into executive session, I just want to welcome back Ms. Stokes and Yvonne. It is so good to see you.
Thank you.
Glad to see y'all.
It's nice to be back.
Alive and well, and kicking.
Yes, and if I can piggyback on that before we go into that, this board has been in constant thought of the two of you, and we have all had our own individual prayers, and I kept them abreast of both of your statuses. I had the opportunity to speak to Yvonne, and she sounded, you know, she started the conversation out telling me how the two of you are doing so strong, and within, you know, literally seconds, her she struggled to speak, but the board has definitely kept you in our thoughts and our prayers, and I know, Mrs. Stokes, you may have not heard from anyone in particular, but I know that Devon has let you know that we definitely, we're praying that you and as well as Devon come through all of this, so we're just very blessed.
Love you guys.
Thank you very much. We love y'all too.
Now we will entertain executive session with personal updates.
Before we do that, the recorder star, did you want to turn to the other, before we do, we have a motion?
Okay.
Okay, so what is the pleasure of the board on executive session?
Madam Chair, we go into executive session to discuss personal updates, personnel recommendation for resignation.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion on the floor and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, if you're in favor of that, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposition? All right, the ayes have it. We are now in executive session. Executive session.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we come out of executive session.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion on the floor and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signal by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? All right, the ayes have it. We are now out of executive session. What is the pleasure of the board with regard to the executive session item?
Madam Chairman, I move that we approve the request for personnel advisement and that we accept the resignations for personnel individuals B1, 2, 3, and 4.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? Hearing none, if you're in favor of the motion, please signal by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Hearing none, the ayes have it. We are down to item number 13, which is a motion to adjourn.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
All right, we have a motion on the floor that the meeting be adjourned. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, a motion on the floor and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, if you're in favor of it, please signal by saying aye. Aye. Is there any opposition? Hearing none, the ayes have it. Meeting is adjourned.
So,